I used to do long-haul deliveries for a living, mostly overnight runs, furniture, appliances, the kind of stuff people don't realize takes 12 hours to move from one city to the next. I like the solitude. Headlights, podcasts, endless asphalt. But there's one stretch of highway I'll never drive again. Mile marker 117. It was a Tuesday, middle of summer. I had been on the road since 6 p.m., halfway between Amarillo and Oklahoma City. It was around 2 a.m. The world silent except for my engine and the low hum of the tires. Up ahead, I saw something on the shoulder. Some kind of shape of something alive. At first I thought it was a deer or maybe a stranded driver. But as I got closer, I realized it was a man, standing perfectly still, facing the highway. He wasn't waving or signaling for help, just staring. His clothes were dark, almost bending with the night, but his face caught my high beams, pale, blank, with a mouth slightly open. I slowed down, rolled down my window halfway. "Hey, are you okay?" He didn't move. He didn't blink. He just turned his head slightly, like he was listening to something behind him. Then, without a word, he stepped back into the ditch and disappeared. I pulled over, with my heart pounding. I grabbed my flashlight and climbed out of the vehicle. "Sir, are you hurt?" But when I looked at the ditch with my flashlight, it was empty. It was just grass and mud. No footprints, no sound. When I looked back towards the road, I saw my truck door slowly closing by itself, even though I had left it wide open. I got back in and closed the doors. A mile up the road later, I passed another sign, mile marker 118, and there he was again. Same man, same stance. Only this time, his head was tilted the other way. By the time I hit mile marker 119, I was doing 85 miles an hour, white-knuckled on the wheel. I didn't see him again that night, but I didn't stop until I reached the next truck stop. I asked the cashier there if anyone had seen a man standing by the 117 marker. She gave me a look I'll never forget. "You actually saw him?" She said the local drivers call him the Mile Watcher. Years ago, a man had broken down there in the middle of the night. He tried to cross the highway for help, and a semi hit him when he crossed. Since then, people driving alone late at night sometimes spot him, always at 117, sometimes further down the road, and those who do eventually start seeing him closer. I quit long-haul driving 2 months later, but every now and then, when I'm out late and pass a green reflective sign, I still glance out the window, just to be sure. Last week I saw one, mile marker 12, and for a split second, I swear there was something standing there, watching. I worked the front desk and security at a mid-range hotel off the interstate, the kind of place travelers stopped when they couldn't make it another hour on the road. It wasn't glamorous, but it was quiet. At least, it used to be. Every night around 2 a.m., the front desk phone would ring. The caller ID always said, "Room 313. That wouldn't be strange, except room 313 had been empty since I had been hired. The door was sealed shut, so I've never seen the inside. They'd closed it after a maintenance incident, according to the manager. The first time it rang, I answered automatically. "Front desk, this is David." Silence. Then a faint, static voice whispered, "Can you send me up another towel?" I started to ask them what room they were in because 313 wasn't in service, but the line cut out. When I checked the security monitor, the hallway outside 313 was empty. No one had come in or out. The next night, same time, 2 o'clock sharp, it rang again. "Front desk," I said, half expecting it. This time the voice was different. It was a rough male voice. "You should tell her to stop crying." I asked who it was, but there was just heavy breathing. Then a long beep, like the tone you get when a call ends itself. I told my manager the next morning. She looked tired, and I could tell she had heard this before. She said, "Just unplug the line. We've had issues since this remodel. Don't worry about it." So that night, I unplugged the phone like she told me. But at 2 a.m., it rang again. Only this time, the sound didn't come from the front desk. It came from the maintenance closet behind me. When I opened the door, the spare house phone we kept there was lit up, blinking. Caller ID showing room 313. I picked it up. Static hissed through the speaker. Then a woman's voice, soft, trembling. "He won't let me leave. Please tell them I'm still here." Then a muffled scream, and then the line went dead. After that, I froze, just trying to figure out what exactly happened. I should have called the police, but I just sat there listening to the hum of the hobby lights, too scared to move. The next morning, I asked to see the maintenance report for room 313. The manager refused at first, but after I pressed her, she sighed and showed me a faded incident file. 10 years ago, a woman named Rachel Donnelly had checked into room 313. She was found dead 2 days later, strangled. Her boyfriend was never caught. The room had been locked ever since. A week later, I came in for my shift, and I noticed something odd. The key rack behind the desk was missing one tag, 313. And that night, when I checked the security feed, the door to that room was open. I quit the next day. When I was driving away, after picking up my last paycheck, I saw the hotel lights fading away, and I could see the window of room 313. And I swear, I saw a figure at the top corner window, a woman's shape, backlit by the flicker of a TV, holding a phone to her ear, staring at me. I used to work for one of those gig delivery apps. Food, groceries, whatever people didn't want to leave their house for. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills, and I liked driving at night. The streets are empty, and the app's GPS always had this soft, robotic voice that made me feel like I wasn't completely alone. One Friday, around 11 p.m., I got a ping for a delivery just outside of town. The note said, "Leave it at the door. Apartment 2A. It was a medium pizza and a bottle of wine. The name on the receipt was L. Morton. I didn't think twice, just drove out. The complex was older, maybe from the 70s. Half the streetlights were dead, and the building numbers were painted on in fading white. When I got to 2A, I noticed the door was already cracked open. "Delivery for Morton," I called out. No response. Since the door was open, I peeked inside. The place was dark, but the TV was on, blue light flickering across an empty couch. I set the order down on the table and took order for proof and backed away. That's when the voice came through my phone speaker, but it wasn't mine. "Thanks for coming, Ethan." My name. It said my name. I froze. The delivery app doesn't tell customers our names. Only the driver ID. I checked the screen, but the app had already marked the order as complete. The voice spoke again. Long shift tonight? The TV in the apartment turned off. The screen on my phone flickered, then showed a camera feed. Me, standing right outside the door. Then the feed tilted slightly, like someone was holding a camera. I dropped the phone and ran. Just bolted down the stairs and out the lot. I drove all the way back to the city that night without taking any more orders. A week later, while I was taking out the trash at my apartment, I found a pizza box sitting on my doorstep. It was the same brand from that night, same handwriting on the lid. Inside was a phone. It was my phone. How did it get in there? The screen was cracked, but when I picked it up, the delivery app opened by itself. It showed a live feed of someone standing in my driveway, holding a delivery bag. And from the speaker came a familiar, static-filled voice. Hey, I've got your order. Hey, Spooky Sooner here. Welcome to 2026. First story is some real, true, not really stories from Reddit. So, hope you enjoyed that. Things we have coming up, I am not sure. I need to start brainstorming. I know I'm going to do another Valentine's Day stories, urban legends type thing, and then probably come up with some new urban legends after that, so... might reach out to different countries and see what they have for urban legends. Japan has probably the best, so maybe you'll see Japanese urban legends coming up. If you have any recommendations for stories, if you have one yourself, submit it to spookysooner7964@gmail.com. Everybody have a good new year. Oh, we did reach 500 subscribers, so thanks for everybody for that. I finally made it here in the YouTube verse after 2 years, 3 years of doing this. So thanks everybody. I'll start working on all these stories, start recording, and get them out there. So until next time, stay spooky. But she was found 2 days. The streets were empty. And the app's GPS the streets were empty, and the app's GPS oh my god, and the building numbers were painted on I didn't drop my phone. I need to keep my phone. Okay, let me redo something here. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I did drop my phone. I messed this whole thing up. Alright. Okay, here we go. So I'll it'll be my phone, but it was in my pocket. I ran. I was running. Whatever, I don't really care. I'm not that much urgent about running. I got an email from a company. A week later, I got an email from the company's automated system. We noticed you left an order incomplete. Please return the item to apartment 2A. I never went back. But one night recently at my apartment,